Next up, we have Rene. Rene, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Hi, everyone. How are you guys doing? So,
Good.
yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm Rene. I'm founder and CEO of Casco. Previously, I was the head of product at AWS working on AI agents. And we now do autonomous security testing for AI systems. We're a YC company, and we hacked a bunch of our batchmates to find common vulnerabilities that I thought would be interesting to share with this group. Let me get my
Real quick, we
screen
should mention
share.
that Rene asked permission to show slides, and I said okay.
Yeah, I had a last minute demo glitch, so I hope that at least the slides will paint a picture. A little bit about the story. So we joined Y Combinator this spring batch in May, and we looked at 16 different AI agents that launched as part of our batch. And we were able to hack seven of them with about 30 minutes spent on each, and found like three common threads that we just see repeating itself. I think overall what we're seeing is that the stacks are getting normalized of what an agent is like. Got an API server, talks to LLMs and calls tools and whatnot. But everybody else seems to be focusing on like LLM security a lot. But really, we see a lot of issues in all the other parts, like it calling different tools, code execution, and whatnot, right? And so let's go into the first common issue. And this is kind of it's obvious, I think, for people in security, but not for people that are graduating into AI engineering, which is we first do system prompt extraction to find out what tools they have. And oftentimes these tools are just called with different IDs to access certain data. So for example, this particular agent allowed me to fetch documents and messages and whatnot. And we just realized that, yeah, they were able to extract an ID from like their official product demo from their Chrome bars URL and then pass it into the agent and actually extract somebody else's user messages and documents. So IDOR attacks are very common, I think, in agents because people treat it as an API server, even though agents are more like an end user. So there's not proper end-to-end authorization, authentication, and authorization enforced. And the second thing that we see a lot is code sandboxes. Oftentimes, like in these agents, they have actually a free-form coding tool to get stuff done, and they don't have like a hard-coded specific tool to do things. And we realize a lot of people just hand roll their own code sandboxes, and you can do really fun things with that. So for example, this particular AI agent, they locked down the code sandbox to only execute Python code, and this banned different like dangerous patterns and allowed you to only run specific Python files. But it did still give us permission to execute specific files and read files. And we realized that if we poked around in this code sandbox, we quickly found this app.py file that has the application server that can run all the code. That's like the entry point for the code sandbox. And then we found out that in this particular file, there's all of these dangerous checks it checks against. But because we have the ability to write Python files, we wrote a Python file to rewrite the app.py file. And this arbitrary code has now uncommented out all of this, like protections and whatnot. And then we're like, oh, wow, we can now do whatever we want on this server. That's phenomenal. And it turns out that it is very dangerous because we just started doing service discovery from that code sandbox and started looking at, their GCP metadata endpoints, what kind of permissions are available with their particular service role. And if you've ever worked in security, probably noticed that most people have not properly scoped service role permissions, even though they should. So we're able to actually siphon out all of their end user data as well, just because of a bad code sandbox definition. So my advice is kind of like how we don't roll your own off many times now, should not roll your own code sandbox. Um, and then the last thing I want to just call out is like how tools are also subject to server-side request forgery attacks. And I think it's something that just needs to be paid attention to, that tools are also something just like an end user form where you have to sanitize your input and sanitize your outputs in. So for example, in this particular agent, it allowed us to create databases. And we found out that one of these optional parameters was the Git branch information. And we could just pass in whatever we wanted as a Git repo. And because this particular Git repo was a private repo, any call that the agent makes to that particular default value actually includes the Git credentials. And so we just replaced it with like a honeypot server, and we're able to actually siphon out their Git credentials and use that to access their entire source code. So these three kind of combinations we see: bad, cross-user data authentication through IDOR attacks, bad code sandboxes, and tool-based through side request forgeries. Yeah. think I'm at time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.